It's a new day. It's a new day when we're allowing the universe to support us and unfold in its own way because we have aligned ourselves and set our intention. Thank you, Eddie Watkins. That is a brand new song, actually, because I haven't heard it before, or at least it's new to me, and I love it. It's a new day. Now, the example that I've given you, right, this and my story and the example that we've been talking about is sort of an unfolding life experience, right? And it's a general kind of idea that as we move in the direction of our dreams, as we are really moving on up in our life in a larger perspective, that we expect to be supported. We expect to have these amazing events happen. But let's talk about in the moment of manifestation, like something really important and critical that we need right in this moment. Not just a whole lifestyle thing, but we need to manifest health or money or something really critical in the moment. So I want to tell you that, so this was a number of years ago, we were having a practitioner retreat, and actually we were having it at a hotel. We had an outside facilitator come in, and we had all the practitioners from DFW and the ministers, and we're having a fabulous retreat. So in the afternoon, I noticed that I was starting to feel a little dizzy, and I had on and off over the years with all the traveling that I've done, have had a little bit of dizziness sometimes when I've realized that I had a little bit of an inner ear infection. It took me a lot of years to find that out. And so I thought, wow, maybe I'm getting a little bit of an inner ear infection again. So I started doing treatment around it and thought, well, if it's not gone by Monday, I'll get it checked out and no problem, but it was, was very, very low grade. And so not really a problem. So I went to bed that night. I think that was Saturday night. Sunday, we were finishing up. We had all morning, early afternoon, and then we were ready to go home. So I woke up the next morning. I rolled over in bed, getting ready to get out, and my whole world started to spin. It was one of the most disconcerting experiences I've ever had in my life. It was so bad that I began throwing up. And I laid in bed, and just laying in bed, the world was spinning. And every time I tried to get up or move, it was so bad that I would literally throw up. And I tried to get up and use the restroom. I was staggering, and my partner at the time had to hold me up. It was awful. So I went back to bed, and she went downstairs to the prac room and practitioners and said, you have to do treatment. I don't know what's going on with Petra, but she literally can't get out of bed. And so, 30 people started to do treatment. And so, I tried to get up an hour later, I couldn't get up. I tried to get up 2 hours later, I couldn't get up. It was just, I had never experienced anything like it. And so I wasn't able to have lunch. And then it was like, we have to go. This is ending here pretty soon. The idea of getting in the car and driving home, even though it wasn't that far, was terrifying to me because I was so disoriented. So I stayed as still as I could in the bed. I stayed as quiet as I could. And I knew that they did 2 or 3 treatments as a group for me while this was going on. So as it was closing, and we had to get out of our rooms at 11, right? Thing wasn't over till 2. We had to get out of our rooms at 11. So, my previous partner, she packed everything up, and then we had a couple of practitioners come up, and they literally carried me, my arms around each of them. We walked to the elevator, and I was literally staggering. I was so disoriented. I wasn't quite throwing up anymore. I had, that had settled down, but they put me into the elevator, and we needed to go to the room where the practitioners were meeting because we still had a few more hours, and we had to check out. So we were debating, I just say goodbye and get in the car and go home. So in the elevator, a couple people get on, and of course I'm standing there thinking, these people think I am so freaking hungover. and one person got on the elevator and looked and said, are you okay? Is she okay? And the answer was, well, clearly no. And somebody said, either me or one of the practitioners, I don't even remember, she's having this terrible dizziness. Well, it so happened that the woman who got in the elevator was an extremely accomplished physical therapist. She asked 2 questions and she said, oh, I know what's going on. She said, get out here on this floor. We're going to go right here into my room and I'm going to show you what she needs to do. And they laid me on the bed. You know, some of you might know this. She laid me on the bed. She put my head over the edge of the bed. She said, do this movement. My little eyes went, nee, 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 nee. She said, sure enough, she's got crystals in her inner ear that have touched the balancing hairs in her inner ear. And so you do this movement, you just lay here for a while. You know, the worse it is, the longer you have to lay here with this special movement, whatever it is. And then it'll be fine. It just so happened that she was a physical therapist who knew what to do. I laid there for 10 minutes in this particular posture, you know, with this particular way, you got to put your head hanging over the edge of the bed. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, the room stopped spinning. She said, good, now do it on the other side. Wow, the room isn't spinning at all. She said, great, we're going to take it slow, right? We lay on the bed for a few minutes, now sit up. Wow, I think I still feel a little weak. She said, yes, you had a pretty bad episode, may come back. So you just need to keep doing this until what happens is you literally are dislodging those crystals in your inner ear. They're moving back to wherever they belong, doing whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. Well, since then, of course, I've looked it up on YouTube. This is a completely recognizable thing. And there's 2 or 3 kinds of movements that, you know, people have created over the years that you can do. What a miracle. What a synchronistic, serendipitous event that while I was in the elevator, it just so happened that a physical therapist who knew about this walked on and was willing to engage and ask and had the time to say, come and let me help you. A miracle. Do you see? Or the outpicturing of all of that treatment that had been done. Thomas Troward, who's one of my favorites, you know that, and I invite everybody to read his books and to take classes that we teach here on Thomas Troward. In his book called The Edinburgh Lectures, he says this: when this, meaning how the universal laws work, when this is properly understood, any anxious thought as to the means to be employed in the accomplishment of our purpose is seen to be quite unnecessary. If the end is already secured, then it follows that all the steps leading to it are also secured. The means will pass into the smaller circle of our own conscious activities day by day in due order. And then we have to work upon them, not with fear, doubt, or feverish excitement, but calmly and joyously, because we know that the end is already secured, and that our reasonable use of such means as present themselves in the desired direction is only one portion of a much larger coordinated movement, those unseen forces that are working, the final result of which admits no doubt. So this is one of the most powerful and commonly quoted things that I quote from Thomas Troward. If the end is already secured, then it follows that all the steps leading to it are also secured, which means that of course, we're going to have serendipitous events. Of course, synchronicity is going to happen. Of course, we're going to have seeming magic, seeming miracles, because that's whatever is needed for us to reach the end result. So this opportunity, right, is the opportunity for us to expect miracles, to expect these things to come together, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that the universe is in fact rallying around to support us when we are committed to our end result and to allowing the universe to work in conjunction with that. The linear causality working in playful relationship with the unseen forces. So the last story, just to close here, the last story I want to talk about is, of course, we're all excited about opening back up again in April, beginning that slow, steady ramp up into being fully together. Well, we had actually anticipated doing this in March. And in February, we were working towards that announcement. We were getting closer and closer to having all of our ducks in a row. And of course, what happened? Wintergeddon happened. That's what happened. Wintergeddon happened. And even though we had come into the CSLDallas, we turned, we were dripping all the faucets. We had the heat on and everything. We still had a big flood because one of the landlord's pipes burst and flooded 2/3 of our space. So in the process of getting all this together, we've been needing to find a contractor, somebody who can do the contracting work besides just the flooring that needs to be redone and all of that. And so, we've had a couple of avenues that didn't quite work out. A lovely member of our community, unfortunately, the timing just doesn't work out for us. And we just were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Well, we knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that this is all going to be taken care of. We've had our practitioners treating around it, and we know that it's all coming together beautifully. And so all of a sudden in a conversation with Brianna, I remembered a wonderful contractor that Karen and I had both used to remodel our individual houses. When Karen first got here and she bought a house about the same time I bought a condo, we happened to use the same contractor. Now this contractor was, what shall I say, was managed by another gentleman because the other gentleman spoke much better English, and the contractor, maybe it didn't speak quite so good English, and he and his brothers, they can do everything, electrical, plumbing, doesn't matter, sheetrock, doesn't matter, lay floors, tiling, they're just amazing. They can do everything, but he couldn't really necessarily find the jobs or communicate it. So he had this gentleman who got the jobs, and it was through him that we found Marco. So during our whole remodeling, we then, after Karen and I then got together and we moved back into my condo, we had Marco come in and do some work again. And I think it was the second one. It doesn't matter. Yeah, pretty sure it was the second remodeling of our condo. And I remember Karen at one point going to Marco and saying, you speak good enough English. You don't need somebody to manage you. Really, you speak good enough English. And I remember her saying that to him more than once. And I thought, yeah, that's really true. And so I began communicating with Marco directly. This is what I need, and can we do this and this and this? And it was like, yeah, he was perfectly capable of communicating and telling me what was needed and wanted and how much it cost. And we kept reaffirming for him that he and his brothers were actually perfectly capable of doing this. Great, it's great. He was thankful, did a beautiful job. He did my railing and everything was fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay. So fast forward, we're here in the center. We do our expansion. We invite Marco to come in and do some of the work with that. And we had some things we needed to be done. And then all of a sudden, Marco started saying, no, I'm not available, not available, not available. Well, Marco has gone off and gone into business, really gone for it himself. And he's now doing contracting major high-end real estate. Okay, really luxury houses because they're that good. And so he just really, quite frankly, didn't have time for us in our little projects. So the other day, when we were kind of like, we need a contractor, all of a sudden, Marco's name popped into my mind. And I said, he's been saying no to us. He's doing all this high-end stuff. Probably they've all had their pipes burst too. I don't know that he's going to have time. But we could call him. We could ask him. And if he can't do it, maybe he knows somebody that he feels comfortable in letting us, in telling us, saying that, we could use this other person. He answered the phone. He said, I'll be right over. He came over. He looked at everything. He saw the holes in the walls and everything that has to be done and the platform that has to be fixed. And we were standing in the Pankey Hall in the foyer, closing up, saying, okay. And he looked at me and he said to me, I know that I know that I've had to say no to you a lot. He said, but you need me today. I will take your job. I will do it for you. That was a miracle in that moment. Somebody we really trust and really know can do a good job. And because of all that beautiful ground that had been laid, because of that intention to know that the universe supports us, and because we had supported others, in that moment, that miracle happened. Do you see? So it's not just miracles for us. It's the way in which our miracles begin to support each other, and that we can expect magic in our manifestations. Because when our manifestations is not just lives that work individually, but a world that works for everyone, the magic just grows exponentially. We are all supported by the magic of the universe. So whether Science of Mind uses these words or not, I love using them in my own life. Not to think somehow divine intervention is rewarding me for being good, but to understand that there are unseen forces in the universe that when we marshal them with our spiritual intentionality, they're constantly working for our good and the good of everyone. So let's bring this to a close with Eddie Watkins' beautiful, I want to close with this beautiful quote by Ernest Holmes before we go to Eddie Watkins. So, we shall not think of our purpose as contingent on any condition whatever, but shall know that by forming the idea of it in the absolute and maintaining that idea, we have shaped the first cause into the desired form and can await the result with cheerful expectancy. So we can cheerfully expect that our lives are working and that those lives work for everyone.